You gave her roses, trips, loyalty, and still, she walked away. Not because you weren't enough, but because you made her feel nothing. She didn't leave for a better man. She left for a stronger feeling. Kindness doesn't keep a woman, only emotion does. The most dangerous man to her heart isn't the bad boy. It's the one who doesn't react when she tries to break him. He thought love was about effort. She stayed for electricity, and you went quiet. You bought her flowers, took her on trips, paid her bills, showed up every damn day, and still, she left. Why? Because you were loyal to actions. She was loyal to aliveness. You filled her calendar with dates, her closet with gifts, her inbox with sweet words. But you forgot to fill her soul with fire, and that's the brutal truth. Most men never see until it's too late. Women don't stay for what you do. They stay for how you make them feel, especially when you do nothing at all. Not the dinner, not the text, not the ring. They stay for the silence that made their pulse skip, for the look that said everything without a word, for the tension in the air when you walked into the room like you didn't need her, but she needed you. This isn't about manipulation. It's not about playing games or withholding love. This is about emotional gravity, the invisible force that pulls her back. Even when logic says she should walk away, let's cut through the noise. Most men grow up believing loyalty is earned. If I treat her right, she stay. If I sacrifice, she'll appreciate me. If I show up, she'll never leave. That's the fairy tale. But reality, emotion doesn't follow rules. It follows resonance. A woman doesn't fall in love with your resume, your kindness, your consistency, your effort. She falls in love with the feeling you awaken in her dot. And here's the gut punch. You can do everything right and still lose her because you never made her feel wrong in the best way. You never made her breath catch. You never made her wonder, what is he thinking? You never made her feel seen in a way that scared her. She may respect you. She may even love you in a safe, comfortable way. But respect doesn't create obsession. Comfort doesn't create longing. And without longing, there is no loyalty. She'll stay until someone makes her feel something deeper, something truer than the peace you gave her. And then she'll go. Not because she's shallow, because she's human. We are all chasing that spark, that electric moment, when we feel more alive than we did a second before. And men who understand this, they don't beg. They become, let's be clear, kindness matters. But it's not the core of attraction, the real currency. Emotional impact. Ask yourself when she thinks of you late at night, what moment does she replay? Is it the time you paid for rent? Or is it the night you looked at her across the room, didn't smile, didn't speak, and she felt like you could see every secret she'd ever buried? That's the difference. Effort is logical. Impact is emotional, and women don't remember logic. They remember waves of tension, mystery, desire. Silence they remember. The man who didn't chase, the one who stood still while she circled him like a storm. The one who didn't panic when she pulled away because his peace wasn't dependent on her presence. That's not coldness. That's emotional sovereignty. And that's what creates loyalty. Not because she has to stay, but because she can't imagine leaving. Because when she's with you, she feels more like herself. And yet, somehow, more than herself. She feels feminine. She feels desired. She feels challenged, not controlled. And that's the deepest bond. Of all, here's where most men fail. They think love is about doing more, trying harder, proving themselves. But Stoic men know the truth. Love isn't won through effort. It's claimed through presence. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it. It's about becoming a man who feels deeply, but reacts wisely when she tests you with silence. With distance, with cold words, the weak man panics. He texts back, fast. He pleads. He begs. The Stoic man. He smiles inwardly. He knows the game, and he refuses to play. He doesn't chase, he doesn't punish, he simply remains, and in that stillness, something powerful happens. She starts to chase, not your body, but your energy, she wonders. Why isn't he affected? Does he even care? What would it take to move him? And in that curiosity, you've hooked her soul. Not with words, not with gifts, but with unshakable presence. That's the power of the Stoic. Man, he doesn't need her to feel complete, so she needs him to feel alive. Let's talk about consistency. Yes, it's important, but only if it's anchored in depth, not just routine. Because here's the paradox. Consistency builds trust, but unpredictability builds desire. A relationship built on comfort, routine, and constant validation. It's safe, it's kind, it's dead. Why? Because the human heart doesn't crave safety. It craves meaning, and meaning comes from contrast. The calm after the storm, the silence. After a heated look, the warmth. After emotional distance. That's where chemistry lives. Not in daily check-in texts, not in anniversary gifts, but in the space between words, where tension builds and emotion ignites. When you become predictable, you become invisible. You're no longer a mystery, you're a fixture. And no woman obsesses over furniture. She obsesses over the man, who shows up like a thunderstorm dash, uninvited, unforgettable. She doesn't need another provider. She needs a catalyst. Someone who wakes up parts of her that have been asleep for years. And that doesn't come from effort. It comes from essence. This is the final layer. Most men think, if I treat her like a queen, she'll stay. But the real question isn't, how do I treat her? It's, who does she become when she's with me? Because women are self-referential. They don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with the version of themselves that exists around you. So ask yourself, does she feel powerful when she's with you? Does she feel mysterious, desired, alive? Or does she feel like a project, someone you're trying to fix, please, or keep? If she feels inspired, she'll stay. If she feels bored, she'll leave, even if you've done nothing wrong. Because loyalty isn't about gratitude, it's about identity. She stays with the man who reflects back the woman she wants to be, not the one she's been told to be. And that man, he doesn't beg, he doesn't perform, he doesn't try to impress. He simply is deep, grounded, mysterious, free. And in his presence, she finds her own freedom. So what's the answer? Do you stop being kind? Do you become cold? Do you play games? No. The answer is evolution. Stop trying to earn her love. Start becoming the kind of man who inspires it. Cultivate depth, not just words, but silence with weight. Contrast, be the calm and the storm. Presence, listen like you mean it. Look like you see her. Leave like you don't need her, but she'll miss you anyway. Emotional mastery, feel everything. Show only what serves. You don't need to change who you are. You need to return to who you were before the world told you to shrink. 2, please. To perform. Before you started begging for love, instead of embodying it. That's Stoicism in action. Not coldness, not detachment, but unshakable self-worth. And that's what makes a woman choose you again and again. Even when she could leave, you don't lose her. Because you weren't good enough. You lose her because you stopped making her. Feel she didn't leave for a better man, she left for a deeper emotion. And the only way to compete in the arena of the heart isn't with more effort, it's with more impact. So stop chasing, stop begging, stop performing. Start being the man who doesn't need her to feel whole, but makes her feel complete just by being near. Be the man whose silence speaks louder than words, whose presence stirs more than his presence. Because in the end, she won't remember what you bought her. She remember how you made her feel, especially on the nights you said nothing at all. Loyalty isn't earned. It's awakened, not with roses, not with trips, but with resonance, with depth, with fire. And if you can master that, you'll never beg for love again. If this hit you deep, drop A in the comments. Not because you're a nice guy, but because you're a stoic one. Subscribe, share this with a brother who's giving too much and getting forgotten. Because love isn't about sacrifice, it's about significance. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay unforgettable. See you in the next one.